compositions of functions, okay? And actually, this is going to be something that we're going to work on for the next couple days, because it's not difficult, but it can, you just got to go slow and, what's the right word? Just if you take your time, because you can flip-flop things around. So you just go slow and take your time. So, what a composition of a function is like yesterday, we would put, let's say, 2 into the function and we'd get an answer, right? Well, the word composition means composed or made of 2 or more things. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take more than one functions and evaluate them, okay? And so there's 2 different ways to write it, the 2 different notations. The first way is where you use parentheses. So, and that would be read the g of f of x, okay? The second way is if you use a little open circle, but it's still read the g of f of x. Both are completely right. Either way is fine, all right? We'll use in the examples both, just to get you used to seeing both of the formats. But anytime you see something like that, that means it's like you're taking more than one function and using them together, all right? And so when we have one where it's like you take your x and you put it into the f of x, okay? Because the f of x is like the inside function. Okay? And so you work from the inside out, and then you take that answer and you put it into the g function, and that we call the outside, like the outside function. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? It will. Okay, so first function. We have f of x is equal to x plus 7, and we have g of x is equal to x squared minus 4. All right? We want to find the f of g of 2. So our first step is to find your inside function. So that means my inside function is g of 2. So I have g of 2 is equal to, and I'm going to use my g function, so that's going to be 2 squared minus 4, which means 2 squared is 4. So that means the g of 2 is equal to 0. That's what we did for homework, right? Easy peasy, right? Okay, now we're just going to take it a step further. And we're going to say, okay, take your answer from the inside function and put it into the outside function. Because if you think about it, it says that g of 2 is equal to 0. I can just replace that part and say, well, hey, now I want to find the f of 0. And so I take 0 and I put it into the f function. So I would have 0 plus 7. So the f of 0 is equal to 7. So that means that the f of g of 2 is equal to 7. Good so far? All right, let's do a couple examples. All right, so my very first step is to find the inside function. So I'm going to find the g of -2. So I use the g function. And say that 9 times -2 gives me -18. And -18 minus 1 is -19. Okay. All right. Second step. Put my inside answer into the outside, which means I need to find the f of -19. Right? Okay, so that means -19 squared plus 5. I don't know what -19 squared is, so -19 squared is 361 plus 5 is going to be 366. So that means the f of g of -2 is 366. How are we feeling about this so far? Yes? No? Okay. All right. Then, what's my first step going to be for b? h of g of -3. Mitchell, what do you think? What should my first step be? You want to phone a friend?
Yeah, I'm ready. This one.
All right, phone a friend. Pick anybody in the room.
Hold on, I'm still trying to think about this.
Okay. So who should we phone?
It's up to you.
You can pick Kayla. She's sitting next to you. You're good. I know. So phone a friend. Turn around. Pick anybody in the room. Yeah, find my inside function. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. So that means I'm going to find the g of -3. So that means I'm going to have 9 times -3 minus 1. Everybody good with that? Which is going to give me -27 minus 1. So that means the g of -3 is -28. What was that look, Anastasia? What? This part? Because I was using the g, and the g of x tells me 9x minus 1. Thank you, because that's the hardest part is figuring out or remembering, oh, this one's this one, this one's that one, that one's that one. So thank you for saying that or asking that. Because G is the inside, so you start on the inside part. So you start, it's the furthermost. So now I'm going to take that negative 28 and put it on the outside. Start in, work your way out kind of thing. Okay, so now I do h of negative 28, which means I'm going to use this h equation. And so I have negative 2 times negative 28. Two negatives make me positive, and so 56. Good. Awesome. All right, let's do one more here. I have, Kaylee, I'm working on the inside. So I'm just going to cover up the F so that I don't even think about what's on the inside or on the outside and just start with the h of 1/2. Good? All right. So I'm going to use this equation, which means that the h of 1/2 is going to be negative 2 times 1/2. So that means the h of 1/2 is negative 1. And now I put that answer into the outside. And I'm going to use this equation this time. Good? Great. Which gives me 1 plus 5. And so the f of h of 1/2 is equal to 5. Oh, no, 6. What am I doing? Jeezy peasy. Brain fade. From the h of 1/2, because negative 2 times 1/2. Good. Hi there. I will do that. Bye. Ellie, go sign out. Have a wonderful day. We're videotaping this so you can get the rest of it on campus tonight, okay? Alrighty. Look at this next one. Oh crap. That looks gross. It's scary. It's not. What should we do with it? Start with what? Okay, I've got start with the G and I've got start with the H. What do you think? Because I understand the G because I keep saying the inside. So that kind of makes sense, but I like the H better. You want to start with the furthest inside, because if we rewrote that, it'd be the F of G of H. And so of X. So the H is really gonna be the inside one. All right, so H of 2 means I have negative 2 times 2, which is negative 4. All right, now let's take -4 and put it in for the g. And I'm going to use this equation this time. Oops, helps if you could see it. 9 times -4 minus 1, which is going to, if I want to just plug and chug in the calculator, 9 times -4 minus 1 gives me -37. And then finally, I take that and plug it into f. So the f of -37 is going to be, use my f function, so I have -37 squared plus 5. Definitely need my calculator for this one, because no clue what 37 squared is. Plus 5, and it gives me 1,374. Feeling okay on these so far? Awesome. All right. Then let's do the same thing, but we're going to use the graph. All right, so I know the graph's a little bit tight to read, but this is our f of x, and this is our g of x. All right, so we're going to find the g of f of 2. So what's the first thing I want to do? Find the f of 2. So I'm going to do what I did last night at homework, and I'm going to look at the graph, and I'm going to say, okay, over 2, where's my point? 1, 2, 3. So that means the f of 2 is equal to 3. Now what do I want to do? Anybody? What's the second step? Yeah, find the g of this answer. So the g of 3, go to the graph, and the g of 3 is going to be 1, 2, 3, and I'm at 1, 2, that point there. So the g of f of 2 is equal to 3. Good so far? All right, let's do the next one. The g of -1, so I got to use my g graph, and at -1, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does that look right? So the g of -1 is going to be 5. And so I need the f of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoops, did I count that wrong? 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, like 4.5? Am I reading that graph right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. So about 4.5. So, all right, what happens on the next one? What am I going to do? What's the first step? B, what's the first step that I want to do? Yeah, look at the inside, which is going to be the g of 1. So my g of 1 is 1, 2, 3. Now what do I want to do? use G again, and that's okay. You can do that. So that means now I'm going to use G of 3. And so I go back to the same graph. That's okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and I already found that out from before. The G of 3 is equal to 3. Feeling okay about these? Yes. All right. What's the f of negative 2? Anybody? 1. Perfect, Kaylee. Thank you. What's the g of 1 then? Who said it? 3? So the g of f of negative 2 is equal to 3. Because that's going to be the same thing. Good? Yeah. Do I what? No, you can have negative numbers. These just were getting lucky. No, negatives are fine. You can have fractions. You can have anything. All right? Good question, though. Hey, what's the g of 0? At 0, what am I at? 0. And then what's the f of 0 then? 2? So the f of g of 0 gives me 2. Good? All right, what's the f of 0? Well, we just found it. That was the f of 0 was 2. And then what's the f of 2? 3. So the f of 0 gives you 3. Feel good on these? Awesome. All right, then that means you get to do some practicing. Okay, we've got almost 15 minutes left so that you can knock out a whole bunch of your homework. All right. Now, the skills quiz, which is tomorrow, looks a lot like this, and it looks a lot like your homework from last night. Okay, so is it tomorrow? Yes. So if you have any questions, holler. This will be the next one.